So the poems in this anthology, Winter in America Again, address frightening human acts, the destruction of the environment, the unbridled use of power, the pervasive narrative in this country that Black lives do not matter, patriarchy, reproductive injustice for women, silent support for the U.S. prison industrial complex, and the lack of compassion for diverse gender identity, immigrants, and unsheltered populations. The poems are rooted in a belief that the incoming administration will not relieve or heal us from our nation's past. They take the reader from a boiling brew to a slow simmer to a new awakening. And this is from Katie Sarazale, who you will hear from as part of this programming. Next slide, please. Oh, there we go. Although words are the main tool of poets, in the beginning, it is not the word, it is listening, it is reflection. A poet's practice is to reflect deeper than the conscious awareness of anger and to cast that awareness beyond the self. A poet, a noiseless, patient spider, to borrow the words of Whitman, uses language to explore a sense of connectedness with others and the natural world. A poet launches forth filament, filament, filament out of itself, ceaselessly musing, venturing, throwing, seeking the spheres to connect them, till the bridge they need be formed, till the gossamer thread they fling catch somewhere. Again, cited from Katie's beautiful preface in the text of the text.
Kim can now share her 2 quotes with us, please.
Oh, is this in quotes? So those were the quotes. So we decided to just do 2, so then we can move to the next thing.
Very good.
Yes?
I'd now like to introduce our musician. Barry, what are we going to do here?
I'm not sure how to proceed. I can play something the phrase that she was going to stream in, but sing something I haven't heard from her.
Well, you're the.
Will you grace us with something beautiful to calm all who are both here and studying that?
Okay, I hope she doesn't kill me for Yeah, Damon, you turn on the Yeah, so had Dupre been here, we'd be playing. We'd be playing from Nina Simone. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free, and I guess this will be instrumental impressions thereof.
way overdue. I'd be starting anew. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live, and I wish I could give all I'm longing to give, and I wish I could do all the things that I should do. Oh, I'm way overdue. I'll be starting anew. I wish I could be like a bird up in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found that I could fly. Yes, soar to the sun and look down at the sea, and I'd sing 'cause I know, yeah, I'd sing 'cause I know, yeah, I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free, how it feels to be free, yo, 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 how it feels to be free. I thumbed the ride. Like in the 60s, I hitched a ride.
She made it. Thank you, Dupre and Barry. I'd now like to introduce two poets, John Maney, or Maney, please correct me for Maney, John Maney, and Aida Zeletian. Zelelian. I know how it is to have your name mispronounced. But I welcome you both to come up here, and you have 3 minutes apiece to share your.
And I'll follow you. Go for it. That's so open to you, John. Yes, a lot of
Well, thank you all for inviting me today. I'm very honored to be here. We took a wrong turn, and that's how we got here on time. So I have 2 pieces to read. The first one is in the Anthology, and then the second one I'm going to read just got published last week. The first one I have is To Tell the Truth. And it starts with a quote from Nikki Giovanni. If now isn't a good time for the truth, I don't see when we'll get to it. Clear, warm spring day, southern sunshine, bird song, week before Easter, 450 Mulberry Street, Memphis, Lorraine Motel. You have stories to tell. Your blood-stained balcony, bellows scratch record renditions, 1972 near-future recording of America the Beautiful, as sung by Ray Charles. Who, though blind, saw enough to know, if you plan a poor people's march in 1968, you may just get shot. If you dare speak of racial justice, America don't always act beautiful. Martin Luther King Jr. knew his days were numbered. It made him think even more it was time to tell the truth. Everybody's days are numbered. Sometimes Silence is a razor so sharp, it makes no noise when it murders. 57 years hence, New York City subway, Jordan nearly homeless, yelling, "I am hungry, I am thirsty," quieted by a chokehold. He died telling his truth. In that moment, in that moment, in that moment, his truth became our truth. We too are hungry. We too are thirsty for compassion. Like him, our days too are numbered. Compassion is not political. Justice is not a thing to be sold. 58 years from now, will our children say they knew the truth but followed lies? Will they angrily muse, they knew better but didn't do better? Will their world be more beautiful or made worse because of us? And the second poem I have, we had the theme earlier today when we recognized people that had passed on. And this is a friend of mine who was a poet and an activist, an amazing human being named Bobby Gonzalez. He passed away about 1.5 years ago. It's called Bobby Gonzalez Knows. Did you know there is an old coyote in Pelham Bay Park near the Long Island Sound where its waters become brackish in the Bronx? Coyote wonders when Brother Bobby will return with poems, with drums, with nature songs and dancers, those who understand the old ways. Did you know there are Taino people in the South Bronx, far from their Caribbean bones of their ancestors? Though their spirits travel with them, they are in the corn we all eat. They are in the sweet corn a native grandmother gave her life to create when her people were starving. That's why ears of corn have gray hair, or so the story goes. Did you know that there are Latin kings and queens in the South Bronx too? Did you know that sometimes they are Taino? Bobby Gonzalez knows. Not long ago, I saw a gentle deerbuck, antlers like oak branches, while hiking through Van Cortlandt Park. These days, parts of the park seem so wild, but years ago, it was a slave plantation where Africans were worked to death. Their remains can still be found there, as also what's left of their enslavers. Did you know there were once slave plantations in the Bronx? Bobby Gonzalez knows. Sometimes people ask him if he's descended from Africans or Taino or Spanish. He simply says, yes. The way Mother Earth says yes to the existence of human beings on her multicolored skin, even though we are getting on her last nerve in these days of carelessness. Did you know that human beings were created to tend to this garden earth and to tell stories? Most people have forgotten this. Bobby Gonzalez, Bobby Gonzalez, Bobby Gonzalez, he knows, he knows, he knows. he helps us remember. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today, for this lovely organization. You're so inclusive. You gave such a warm opening. Thank you to the editors for this beautiful, beautiful anthology from which I will be reading. I'll be reading 2 poems today. I do want to tell you all that I am a first-generation American Armenian and that my grandfather, Garabed, was orphaned in the Armenian genocide of 1915. And I commemorate the 110th anniversary of the Armenian genocide, which was on April 24th. And I read the first poem of this anthology in honor of all the lives lost. And I read my second poem in honor of my grandfather, because I am the last one left. So thank you for listening. One thing I want to say, I don't like to explain my poems, but there's going to be one name mentioned in this poem. His name is Hrant Dink. So the Turkish government still does not acknowledge the Armenian genocide as a historical fact after 110 years. Hrant Dink was a journalist who supported the Armenians who was shot. For defending us, for supporting us, I would say about 5 years ago. So he is mentioned here, and I just thought it would be significant for you to know. And Erdogan, as you know, is the president of Turkey. My daughter asks, do I check off the other box if daddy is white? I want to tell her, your great-grandfather hid in a pile of hay and animal shit. Your blood is in the soil of Zile, Vilayet of our dead family. Virgins threw themselves into rivers with stones in their pockets. I have dreams of the near-dead flies dotting their faces, piled bodies, empty meal sacks fluttering beneath an indifferent sky. Old men tell stories of buried churches now. The ghosts of nenes cry in my ear. My strange brown hair, my summer skin quickens a man's pulse. We erected cathedrals smote to dust. I watched a girl raped in a genocide movie when I was 8. Generational trauma has 96.8 million posts on TikTok. Erdogan is sucking off the 3 pashas and Donald Trump while desert bones have turned to clay. Hrant Dink was shot in the head. Check off the box. Check off that goddamn box. Thank you. And this poem is for my grandfather, Garabed, who, as I said, was orphaned, ended up in Paris, and ended up living through communist Romania during Ceausescu's regime. So there will be references there that you will see. Garabed. Khashkaval cheese, a box of Karpati, a pound of sugar in your cellar. Men wept openly, slipping lay, hidden in their sleeves, clutching your arm. You shook them off, pressed the bills into their chests, and sent them away. Ceausescu would have picked his teeth clean with the key to your cell. My father told me, you killed a Turk. You had watched your family burn, tied at the wrists. The Ottomans riding away, you hid on the roof. Your mind collapsed. I am your orphan. America is a planet of illusions. It is too much to bear. Chrome cars, powder blue, and women in slim dresses, colors that make you forget your last country, sepia memories. America reminds you, you are an alien to yourself if you can't remember even a field from your childhood. America is like strolling beneath the sun as if it belonged to you. Your heart is the same story. It's too much to bear. The cadence of its pulse, a broken metronome. Where is the mended root if the soil was ash? In the field of your dark eyes, a circle, a fire. Thank you. We now have on Zoom Paul Nelson.
Hello. I'm delighted to be here. What a great crowd. And the camera work is fantastic. Whoever the tech people are, thank you very much for doing what you do. And thank you, everyone who's been part of this. Thank you, Allia, for inviting me into your community. I love the quote about finishing the work of the dead. Katie Sarah Zale will tell you about that. And I think what I understand from that quote is they have power on the other side helping us out. We just have to ask them for it. And that's what Katie did after the day after the election. She said, what would Sam Hamill do? The man who started Copper Canyon Press over 50 years ago, the man who started Poets Against the War back during the Gulf War. And we're still in this struggle, and we continue to be in a struggle. And that's mainly what this book is about. It's about organizing. It's about finding like-minded people. It's about creating a country that we love and that we feel safe in and that we can prosper and that intelligence is respected and that people are respected and human rights. So all those themes, I think, are in this book, and this work continues. We'll be working on Winter in America still and hope to hear from you when we do that. So I'd like to share a piece that, in a sense, is the title piece, because I was inspired by my love of Gil Scott-Heron to call the book Winter in America again. And I was inspired by Charles Olson to not close the parenthesis, that keep it open. And I'm also daily inspired by Wanda Coleman, who, were she here in this moment, she would have something potent to say about it. So I'm going to read a poem of mine called Winter in America Again. Wanda's words were, when under the gun, who has time to keep a war journal? So lays down the task for reality government 2.0. WWF style FBI and CIA ought to scare the lion-hearted, yet here we sit. Wonder how the common people prosper, how withstand bomb cyclones of the atmospheric and cultural, make friends with all enemies within. We once called it intersectionality and found harmony lacking, though Brenda Hillman said Occupy gave us clues. In partial November sun, we seek allies. Winter's but one season, though this one's run set for 1,461 days, not counting last days between the neoliberal and the WWFification of we the people. An eagle at Zazen's end in need of breakfast, past the candlelight, guides Thursday meditation. Vow to harm nothing here. Vow to enter Dharma gates, one of which may be this winter again in U.S. America. This is not bottomless dark. There is no bottom, but sky. No, sky can't be nourished with what the small intestine won't need. No beginnings except after endings. We must respect choking on the fumes of the neoliberal. Dufu watching the aura's gold and silver grace nights. Michael McClure reducing it to a grar. Olson pleading the polis, which he knew somehow in the 50s was eyes. Joanne Kiger in the Bolinas backyard quail counting, the last days of eco-poetics. Worried nature poetry is Brenda's definition of eco-poetics. And with each whiff of worry redirected into the prayer rug, we remember our vow to free the numberless beings. The crow murder hightailing it to the roost before the bomb cyclone. The Doug Fir smashing the empty metro bus. Those who would guard congressional bathrooms rather than legislate for the polis. So goes the end of empire, which can't withstand the depths of the Aquarian age, or whatever juju stands in the way of he who won't be named and his cabinet of predators. My war journal has begun as you are my witness, and as history attempts to repeat itself in the home of the brave. Thank you for this opportunity to talk. Continue success.
things got a little out of order. Is Katie Sarazale available? Okay.
Katie's on Zoom.
Katie, could I introduce you? And
Yes, please.
please, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, I'm on. What a pleasure for my heart to be here in New York, in Brooklyn, even though my body is in the warm, hot desert of Tucson. Thank you for allowing me to join this gathering of people who think and feel like me. I don't have to tell you, we are living in a difficult time in America. The preface to Winter in America again begins with the words, quote, "As the map of the United States filled with red on November 5th, 2024, countless people worldwide felt grief or helplessness, depression, fear." So we hoped that this anthology would bring relief to members of communities as they shared these poems with one another. And you know what? It has. I have seen it. With tears in their eyes, people have come up to me and said, "Thank you. Thank you." And bless Allia Abullah-Matta and the other organizers for today's event. It is the hope of the editors of Winter in America that you share these poems in the classroom, in your home, and in your communities. For this anthology, we asked poets to respond to their feelings about the election, to go deeper than anger, keeping in mind the words of the poet Sam Hamill, who wrote in his introduction to Poets Against the War, which was an anthology he published in response to George W. Bush's 2003 plan to wage war with Iraq. He wrote, quote, "These are the voices of our poets. They come from every segment of society. They also celebrate our country by expounding a compassionate view of the universe. A government is a government of words. And when those words are used to mislead, to instill fear, or to invite silence, it is the duty of every poet to speak fearlessly and clearly." So in this collection, incarcerated Quanetta Yatrice Harris writes, "From my cell, I see you, reading these words and wondering how we let fear work so well that we became what we feared most." Kay Bell speaks for women still seeking their voice and power. Quote, "I've been this woman in this apple-shaped body with this coiled wool hair, slipping into a raging red moon at midnight, where my vision is the flesh of freedom, a place where I do not have to be obedient." Sherry Brown suggests, "Let's go to that great American site of equality. In the Waffle House, we are all equal, and okay to be queer." Now, Anna Odessa Linzer connects with nature, which may be the foremost challenge that this country faces. She engages a red-breasted sapsucker with the words, "We find each other eye to eye." How did we find each other here in this treeless, cold place, and yet cannot save each other? Anne Graham Walker implores, "Bring empathy, bring poems wherever you are called to go to serve these times." And I repeat, bring empathy, bring poems wherever you are called to go to serve these times. So we're hoping that you are going to write your own poems and submit them to the follow-up anthology that Paul mentioned earlier. And we're tentatively titling it right now, Winter in America Still. And perhaps you're wondering, Paul alluded to it a little bit, why the title only has one parenthesis? Well, the poet Charles Olson in the middle 20th century said that poetry should be about the ear and the breath, and that a poem is a force of action, an exhale from the poet to the listener to take in and make their own. I'd like to share a poem by my friend Quanetta, the former nurse from Detroit who is in Texas prison, and then a poem by myself. It's the first one by Quanetta. She titles it Letter to My Descendants, to Our Descendants. Fear works in America. I write this from behind walls where we've always known what happens when power mistakes cruelty for strength. Fear works in America like a spell cast backward, making us pine for days when some of us were property and others were invisible. Fear works in America when we trust a man who lies as naturally as breathing to tell us who to fear while he picks our pockets clean. Fear works in America when we forget every lesson paid for in blood and bone about where hatred leads and what others really means. Fear works in America, but love works harder still. In every raised fist, every spoken truth, every refused silence. From my cell, I see you, future child of this moment, reading these words and wondering how we let fear work so well that we became what we feared most. Wow. Quanetta thanks you. This poem is called What Will Save Us? Anger helps me out of bed in the morning. It writes in my journal. I cross everything out. By afternoon, I walk with Basho. We go Oko to the farthest of places that place within. No family, no friends, no footprints mark the path. I meditate on leaves, float on the river, how they pause, catch an eddy, disappear. I sit with the Palo Verde and shrubs blown from the roots, the red bird of paradise still in full flower. A wash of sand that surrounds the cheat grass slips into the Santa Cruz River. Coyotes with blue eyes gaze into mine, blink, move on. By evening, here we are, me writing, you by my side. Do you feel it? A symbiotic magic, you and me together, believing again in words, believing that poetry can save us. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, by all means.
Don't go. Wow. Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Brandon. And it just felt like there was a wall around Brooklyn and you weren't going anywhere. And the title Winter in America, again, is just so apropos because we decided that we would still have this meeting here today. And it's just so beautiful. Mike, thank you so much for stepping in. We were all on Zoom. I think some of the poets are now on Zoom. Our co-host Allia is now on Zoom. And so I just want to thank everybody for saying that it's spring in this room. So I think when people come together to decide that we are still going to fight back and have our voices, it happens. So I'm just very, very, very grateful for that. The fact that everybody just did what needed to be done. The opening poems were amazing. And what I'd like to do, and I know we're a little bit out of order and we have probably about 30 minutes left for our time together. I'm wondering, Dupre and Barry, if they could sing Winter in America again, and then we'll have our last poets, and that is, let me tell the order. We have Cheryl Boyce Taylor coming up, we have Keisha Gay Anderson coming up, and we have the wonderful Cynthia Manick. And so what I'd like to do is to bring up the list of that order, and then after that, we will have myself, I'll do one quick poem, and Allia will wrap us up with her comments. She's one of the editors of Winter in America again. We'll have a quick Q&A, and then we'll have the closing of what we do as our tradition here, and that'll be our program today. So I'm just so pleased and so proud, and I will say thank you again to Mike for just jumping in. Vondra called her in the car and said, could you do this? And she says, I got you. And so with that, it's Winter in America again. I'm sorry, it's Winter in America. Thank you, Dupre and Barry.
Yes.
Thank you,
By
Mike.
Gil Scott Heron. Thank you. Glad you got here, Finn. Good. From the Indian who welcomed the pilgrims and the buffalo that once ruled the plain, like the vulture circling beneath the dark cloud, looking for rain, looking for rain. Just like the cities staggered on the coastline in a nation that just can't stand much more, like the forest buried beneath the highway, never had a chance to grow, never had a chance to grow. It's winter, winter in America, yes, and all of the healers have been killed or betrayed, yeah, but the people know it's winter. It's winter in America, and ain't nobody fighting, 'cause, well, nobody knows what to say. Save your soul, it's winter in America. The Constitution, a noble piece of paper with a free society that struggled but died in vain. And now democracy is ragtime on the corner, hoping for some rain, yeah, hoping for some rain. just see the robins perched on barren treetops, watching last-ditched races walk across the floor. And just like the peace sign that vanished in our dreams, never had a chance to grow, never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter, winter in America, and all the healers have been killed or betrayed. Yeah, the people know, it's winter, winter in America, and ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to save. Save your souls, it's winter in America. Winter, yeah, winter in America, and all the healers done been killed or betrayed. But the people know it's winter. Winter in America. Ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows, nobody knows. Nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. Gil Scott-Heron.
Wow, thank you, Dupre and Barry, wow. Dupre just said, thank you for giving me enough time to learn that song. And so if she's learning it, Barry's learning it too, so thank you so much to the both of you, I appreciate that. And now we're gonna keep moving a little rapidly. And I wanna just say one apology to our fantastic poets. We have not done your bios because there's a marathon, and we're now trying to get situated. So maybe what we could do is find a way to let you know how magnificent the poets are in this room and some of their accomplishments. It is mind-boggling, right, Cynthia? It is just mind-boggling. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to tell you the order, and forgive me for not doing your bios, but we're going to keep it going because we have about 20 minutes. So our next poet is going to be Keisha Gay Anderson, another superstar. After Keisha, we're going to have Cynthia Manick. Bad, just bad. And then we're going to have our one and only Cheryl Boyce Taylor, who is on Zoom. There she is, her pretty outfit there. Another phenomenal poet and accomplished writer. I will do one poem, and then I'm going to turn everything over to my co-host, Allia, and after that, we will bring all three editors together to do questions and answers. We'll have a final song, and then we'll be done. So I'd like to make room for Keisha Come on, Keisha. There she is.
Is there? Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here with everybody. I have 2 short poems in the book, so I'll just jump right in. This is called Abyss Belly. Black death on cue is a canker mouth wrapped around a straw grafted onto your spirit, and you won't see how the grotesque drinks itself into existence through you. Some abyss belly consumes you, makes you residual, belches back a flat reality of trinkets that trick the eye into believing the talking cadavers called president, prime minister, premier, leave you wondering why you always the afterthought. Not a march, not a law, not a God can cut the feeding tube, just you, only you, always you. Step inside your own house and become new. Thank you. The poets see. The poets see the things others want to disappear or forget, like bodies stacked on trucks moving quickly after midnight, or forged documents to make a child a wife. We remember for us all the head-on collisions of who we perform and what we really be. We can see the bottom of the glacier in New Moon Sea and the cracked cog in the big machine. We feel the electric charge in the air that spins itself over great distances into thunder, lightning, revolution. We sense the confusion that creates runaway egos, turn leaders, turn despots. We urge you to stop. Listen to the strumming of the threads of life that weave us into a wave of being that is no less separate than water. We want you to remember who you are. We are a star.
Okay, how's that audio? We're good? Okay, the music in this room is so gorgeous. I'm gonna read 2 poems. One poem from Winter in America, and the other poem from No Sleep Without Brine. This poem is called Dear Idris Number 1, Blues Geometry. Idris. Sometimes a mood lingers like fingerprints, like it's a caring place, a song at the edge of your teeth, and I don't want it to feel like home. This in-between state of react but live. Every day we're asked to conjure breath, avoid ego and melancholy, and do self-care. Avoid thorns on discount roses, steer clear of dreams that come too fast and linger. Act like our hearts aren't a lemon half squeezed, and cars aren't on fire, and don't forget the hustle by way of Republican bootstraps. And if my skin could speak, it would be an alto, and use the word gobsmacked, and probably mofo. And yes, these are grown folk blues, far from star prints, double-leg shadows, and carrion birds. So I'll do one poem for Aretha, because the music in this room was so gorgeous that I needed an Aretha poem. So this poem is called I Wish the Trees Could Sway to Marvin and Aretha. Because sometimes I forget the soil can do more than hold wooden or metal boxes. It pulls on elements my shins have long forgotten. There are 7 different words for dirt in French. We hear what is left in the woods, children with 12 fingers or webbed toes. I used to pray for normal appendages, often stop myself from talking out loud, singing where others could hear, but we know of hush tales. Somebody's calling my name, about where wounds used to go, to the trees, swinging someone's black uncle or son, sometimes daughters under steady stars, bright as birthday candles we can't blow. But let's not talk of dark histories, of how you and I are still alive, like three flowered maples or perennials unculled. I was standing on a hilltop just over there with headphones, a seashell of Motown, and Aretha. You forget the universe is expanding. If the gods are tired of our sand and stone, brutal ozones. The oldest tree is over 4,000 years old. But what if the bark doesn't hold like it used to? The bloom turns shallow because you can die from survival, you know. It's like working 3 jobs, the weight of limbs in winter. So that tree has breathed a lot of shit. Geographic shadows, but soul music can be a prayer. And what if it could reach every spore, every carbonated leaf, note, pollinated dreams like bees down to the roots, until every bark vibrates under our palms? And what if Marvin and Aretha can make them remember what love sounds like? And all the wild things come so close. The trees no longer die standing up.
And next we'll have Cheryl Boyce Taylor from Zoom.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Cheryl.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to thank the editors of Winter in America, and I'm so pleased and thrilled to be here with all of my fellow poets and audience, and thank you for this beautiful day. I told Kim when she called me, we're going to gather. It will work. I knew it would. Okay, so I'm going to share my poem that's in the book and a very short one. And the poem in the book is called Catskill Center. It's about my trip. I lived in the Catskills for a while, and so was my travels back and forth. Freedom is not free, read the sign in front of the liquor store in Margaretville at Big Indian. I'm waiting for feathers and white sage buckskin and leather fringe. There's a canvas teepee in somebody's yard and a tiny bridge. I bet the fish are jumping. Kingston smells of horse shit. It's been a fucked up week. They call it pandemic. 729 dead, and the Westchester criminals cut the tires of the medical staff on the midnight shift. What animals? I'm angry. Can't go shopping or see my beloved 100-year-old aunt. Angry because 6 years ago, I lost my job. Angry because I lost my chocolate lace bra 3 years ago at the laundromat. They don't speak English, they say. Running big business and can't tell me if they see me fancy bra. I love that bra. The color of my shiny brown skin looked stupid hot with my white off-the-shoulder blouse. 2020, and I was the girl who ate summer and the snail who mooned the world. Dear mother, the world is near an end, and I can't love you more than I do today. In the midst of all this fear, I can only think about your strength and love. More than 30 days, Mom, we are stuck in our house. This morning, I kissed that woman's deceitful shoulder. We live together now. There's a restless red in the shuffle of slippers on the early morning floor. I take my coffee half decaf, half black. I have not always taken care of myself. I have not always taken care of myself. How quickly the world changes. Smells like stale mist and salt water. Something loud and scraping against the soul. I have sold this body out, given it away, practically. These days, I walk with my US passport, non-driver's ID, passport card. Without my mask, I can be mistaken for Haitian, Senegalese, Panamanian, Bajan, Trinidadian, black immigrant, slave, other, undocumented, or self-deported. Thank you.
This is how we do it, y'all. Thank you. Thank you all. Those four poets, outstanding. And now I am going to read a poem. One quick poem. No matter what happens, don't move. My father gathered us together, his children, then gathered up all the rusty, dented, leftover cans of house paint from the floor of the hall closet. He heard them first before he saw them coming. The police were coming again, and this time their sirens were raging war, breaking the small fragments of peace found on the poverty line. Popping the lids off like flipping pancakes, them smelling like turpentine and burnt offerings, him pouring them over us, his children, heavy globs dripping, coating everything below, our crowns, our new and our hand-me-down clothes. He put his index finger to his lips to silence us, his eyes pleading, "Be still, my children. Be still. Please be still." The door was pushed in. He was knocked to the ground. He was punched. He was kicked. Guns were jammed into his face. He was handcuffed, and he was dragged away from us. The paint dried. We had not been seen, had not been discovered. We are now the same baby blue from the bathroom walls, the same canary yellow from the kitchen walls, soft butterscotch gold from the living room walls. We are safe and invisible for the time being, as long as we don't move. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce my co-host. Oh my goodness gracious, what a pleasure. Allia Abullah-Matta, Allia Abullah-Matta. Sorry, I stumbled over your name. What a pleasure. What a pleasure to put this together with you. She was on her way here and said, "I'm going back home and get on Zoom."
It's too much. It's too much.
So, poet Allia is one of the editors of Winter in America again, and we'd like to give the floor to Allia.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you, everyone, audience. I wish I was there, but I really feel this energy coming through, and I wanted to say two things, and then I'm going to read my poem, and then I think if folks have questions, we should indulge that. So first of all, it's one thing to be asked to do something because you know someone, Katie Sarah, and they say, "We're working on this project. We want, can you be a part of this?" And then I say, "Okay, I'm going to reach out to these poet people I know in New York." And it's so beautiful that I read your pieces, right? We selected them, but then to hear them and to hear all your special voices, narratives, the quality. I was sitting here, my eyes were watering, and then, oh, Dupre, 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 I might have to stalk you. That was so beautiful. Um, and I'm just full. I want to thank Kim for asking. I want to thank Katie and Paul for, all of the beautiful work that we did together, which was hard and it was a lot, y'all. It was a lot. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I'm in a space with people who care about having something to say and use poetry to do that. Um, so I'm going to read one of my poems in the book, and then I want to make some space for if anyone has questions. The other thing too is there is a slide with a link, and you should we would love for you, if you don't have the book, to definitely get it. It's well worth it, as you can see. So my poem is called Wake Work. 1. Young and subject to heartbreak, I cried my almond-shaped eyes to red, swollen slits, chain smoked cigarettes out the bathroom window for 2 days, wrote poems on toilet tissue, cooked dinner for my 3 sons, made banana split sundaes, and tucked them into bed. Turned toilet paper poems into sermons on loose leaf to heal my heartbreak. Pen and ink eulogies read over the kitchen sink like people do at wakes. Talk about love acts like the bad shit never happened. After the kitchen sink, flicks of my red Bic lighter torch the letter and burn the bad shit all away. 2. This is America. My people be heartbroken since 1619, ringing freedom and liberty bells, burning things and hauling ass north, east, and west to escape Jim Crow, colored only water fountains, train cars, lynchings, and the South. White supremacy on repeat, down south and up north. Broken, beat up, and burned by America over and over on repeat, looking for democracy in the voting booth, on Harlem street corners, and at the Mississippi courthouse, in red, white, and blue promises of liberty, justice, freedom, and peace. Never had a chance to grow after assimilation, integration, civil rights, Black power, and cultural nationalist movements, the return to segregated separation. And what of Black women's bodies? My people be burned tired, bone dry, and looking for the rain to wash away and burn racism all away, waiting for Jah to come to end oppression and rule equality. You should know, America, we who believe in freedom will never rest. And we who know winter in America will never rest. Exodus, movement of my people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So shall we take a couple minutes if there's any questions or answers for the editors or anything from the audience? I don't know.
Wait for the microphone, and it's, the other one stand up, but the Zoom people can't hear you.
Keep forgetting, I'm sorry.
They want to hear what you have to say.
Yes, Vernon here, and thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for coming out. The poems are powerful, delivered, and it's a different look coming from each poet, you know. And I just want to say that one thing I did learn is the universal solvent for bullshit is being mindfulness, you know. Words cannot adequately convey my gratitude for you ladies coming out and dropping such science. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there books here to purchase, Allia? No,
So
no books here to purchase, but go ahead, Aaliyah, give us
yeah,
a.
so I don't know if some of the poets may have brought their books. The Winter in America book, there's a slide with the link on it, and I can drop it in the chat as well. It's you can go to Carbonation Press and order it there. We were trying to bring some QR code and slick stuff, but it did not work out. I'll post the link in the chat, and then I think there's a slide with the link on it. Is there? If not, I can.
And Tati is saying that she'll send the link out too.
Perfect.
Or the mailing list. She'll send the link to the mailing list.
That
And
would be great.
Leah had books in her car, but it was a a wall. I guess my question is, and I'm not a filler, they didn't ask me to say this. I was so amazed and impressed that this book, the request went out for poets to put their work in, and then like, I don't know if it was 6 weeks later, the book was done. Could you talk about that timeline? Like, how did you weed through 1,000 poets to get to 100 and then produce a book in 2 months? I think that's miraculous, and I would just kind of like to understand a little bit about that.
Katie?
To give that to you, Paul.
Okay.
Nope. We can both we can both do it. Because I just want to add that the community of poets, bringing all these diverse poets together. And let me tell you, we worked sometimes 3 times a day on 2-hour spurts on Zoom. And oh, well, Paul can add his for, but it was hard work. Aaliyah talked about how hard it was, but it was, as many of you have been involved in something you are really passionate about, you do it because you love it. And we read the poems aloud even. There was not one poem that was just read quickly and tossed aside. We reread them with our heart and spirit and felt so sad we couldn't publish even more. So let me give it to you, Paul.
For 2-hour Zoom sessions a day, some of those while I was sick, I'd have a 2-hour Zoom session, and then I'd go lay on the couch and nap until it was time to wake up and meet with Katie again, and have 2 more hours of Zoom, and then go eat, and then come back, an hour later and have 2 more Zoom sessions. I got sick by how much energy was being put into this. Of course, this is my payback for suggesting we put it out on the day of the inauguration. So, I mean, you go out there, you commit to something, and well, the good news is it's done, and I'm healthy again, so it was worth it, And then each editor bringing their community to create a larger community. So the book itself is intersectionality. And so this comes so real when I'm in a situation like this, when Allia has invited us into her community, and we can see these poems come to life, and we can extend out, and we can say that, despite everything that comes from the media, and not just Fox News, but mainstream media, this kowtowing to the whatever you want to call him, it's crazy making unless we gather like this and know we're not the crazy ones. That we have to stand for something. We have to have principles. And so the idea is that, the global brain will have neural networks that are peace-oriented and justice-oriented and respect-oriented that are strengthened, and we can build from here. It's all about organizing. And like that beautiful quote you had at the beginning of it, you get help from the antepasados to give us the strength to make the right connections, to act in the right way, and to leave a legacy that others can take up from. So that's part of what we want to do. The other thing I want to say is that the editors had this Socratic dialogue going on about poetry itself. That was such a beautiful thing. We want to replicate that by having workshops where people can sit in and be with 4 of the editors. We're not going with 8 anymore because that's a pain in the ass. And we would never do that again. But to take the 4 editors, these 2 ladies and Roxy Power, who's in Santa Cruz, who's a force of nature, and try and recreate the best parts of those dialogues in a workshop setting so that we as individuals can go deeper than a reaction, because it's a very easy thing to do is react in anger. And it's difficult for us to get to deeper states of consciousness than reaction. Responses, yes, reactions, no. So many beautiful things have come of this, and Allia is a big part of that success, I believe. So thank you.
Thank you. So sweet. I just want to add too, as we organize these workshops will be on Zoom. And so we can, invite folks to, we really want to kind of widen, the spread of this, of this resistance. So
One thing I'd like to add, I think one of my biggest takeaways.
We could have a really quick one, Katie, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry, but this is really important to me. A big takeaway is how writing these poems and sharing these poems is a resistance that has, as when I think about, should I be on street corners? Should I be carrying signs? What can I do? Well, you know what I can do? I can write poems and I can share those with people that I know and care about in my community. That's my lasting takeaway. So
that was a great one. Thank you, Katie.